One of the best cameras for creating content in 2024 is the Sony ZV-E10 II. It's awesome, it's very compact, easy to use, and produces a really great image. However, in order to get the most out of your camera, you need to dial in some specific settings. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing 3 different best settings for this camera. First, I'm going to talk about YouTube talking head videos, kind of like the one you're seeing right now. Second is the best settings for vlogging with this camera. And then third, I will be sharing the easiest slow motion settings so you can have super cinematic slow motion looking videos. With that being said, be sure to grab your camera so you can follow along, and let's dive into it.
You gotta just press record.
Hi everybody, Craig Pruitt with Think Media. This channel is all about helping you build your influence with online video, and we do that here at Think Media by sharing the best tips and tools to build your influence. And one of those tools are cameras, obviously, and the ZV-E10 II is a great one to get started with. So we put chapter markers down below so you can jump to a specific section that you need help with, but let's just dive right into setting up this camera for YouTube talking head videos. So the first thing we want to do is make sure the camera is set to video mode. You do this by just selecting that top switch right there and making sure it's in the middle position, which is set to video. So make sure it's in video mode. Now we want to go in, and if you actually just kind of swipe in from the home screen, this is a touch screen, and then click that top left button that's currently green. The camera is currently set to intelligent auto, but we want to change that into manual exposure mode. So you're going to go scroll down and click the M for manual exposure, and we'll go dial in our settings in just a second. Now you're going to click into the menu and go to the red shooting tab, and we're going to adjust our image quality, record quality, and specifically our file format is what we're looking for. And we're going to change that to XAVC-S 4K. So this will be a 4K resolution file in a little bit more of a compressed codec. So this is going to give a good balance between really high quality images as well as manageable file sizes. So we like this codec here at Think Media. Anything you've seen me film on this channel has been in this same codec. Now scroll down to our movie settings, and we're going to change the record frame rate to 24 frames per second. You could choose 30 frames per second as well if you would prefer, but for this tutorial, we're going to choose 24 because we like 24. And then our record setting is going to be 100 megabits per second at 422 10-bit. So this is going to give you the highest quality image and the best color coming straight out of camera. Now we're going to set a custom picture profile so we can get the best looking colors straight out of camera. Now if you scroll down to the exposure color menu, which is the pink menu, you can go down to color and tone and click into picture profile. So currently it's off, and we're gonna scroll all the way down to picture profile 11. So this is S-Cinetone. S-Cinetone is gonna be our picture profile. And we find that this is a really beautiful color profile that softens up the image a little bit from the standard Sony profile, but you still don't really even need to do any color correction. It just makes the footage look a lot better. Even a lot of their highest end cameras have this same S-Cinetone profile, and I'm very thankful that Sony gave it to us in the ZV-E10 II. Now that we have our picture profile set, scroll down to that same menu screen to the soft skin effect. I don't know why this setting comes on natively to the camera as soon as you turn it on out of the box, but I would turn that off. It adds like a really weird soft skin effect that makes it look a little cakey. I don't like it. If you want it, you can keep it on, but I'd recommend turning that off. Okay, those are the first things that we need to do for our camera. Now we need to dial in our exposure a little bit more. The first thing we need to adjust is our shutter speed. So using the rear wheel dial on the back of the camera, that's going to adjust our shutter speed. You also can change that dial to be the thumb dial if you'd prefer that kind of back thumb dial. So I'll let you decide whatever you want. But for this, it comes standard set to the wheel. So we'll use the wheel, and we're going to change that shutter speed setting down all the way to 1/48 of a second. The reason we do this is because we always want our shutter speed to be double whatever frame rate you're shooting in. So in our case, we're shooting in 24 frames per second. So we want our shutter speed to be 1/48. A lot of cameras don't even have 1/48. They only have 1/50. So you would set it to 1/50 in that case. But in our case, the ZV-E10 II does have 1/48. So we'll keep it set to that. If you were shooting in 30 frames per second, that number for you would need to be 1/60. So just keep that in mind. Now we'll adjust our aperture using the thumb dial on the rear of the camera. And basically here, we just want our aperture to be as wide open as it can be to let in the most amount of light. In our case, we're using the kit lens, and the maximum aperture value allowed is f3.5. So that lets in the most amount of light. So we're going to scroll all the way down to f3.5 and leave it there. Now we need to set our ISO, and ISO is a camera setting that controls how sensitive the sensor is to light. So the lower ISO values are less sensitive to light, but they produce a much cleaner image free from that kind of digital noise that you get up in the shadows. And then higher ISO values make the camera sensor more sensitive to light, but it's going to introduce noise or grain into the image. So a basic rule of thumb here is that you want to keep your ISO value as low as you can while still getting correct exposure. So on the back of the camera, you can click the ISO button, which is the right button on the directional pad, and then you'll just twist that rear dial until we get to our proper exposure level. So you can see this little exposure dial, and it's telling you what the exposure is. And you want to make sure it's right around, plus or minus 0, or even just a little bit higher than that. So like plus or minus 0 or plus 0.3 of exposure. So just slightly overexposed, and that usually is a good place to be. Now, in the event that your ISO is as low as it'll go and your exposure is still too bright, you can do one of a few things. First, you could dim your key light. So literally turn down the intensity of your key light, or you could move that key light further away so that it's not as bright. The second thing you could do is add an ND filter, which is a little filter you can put on your camera lens, which then blocks light from hitting the sensor, which allows you to get correct exposure. And then the third thing you can do is close down your aperture value a little bit. So instead of shooting at its widest open value, you can kind of close that aperture a little bit and shoot at something more like f5.6 or f8, but this really is going to decrease your depth of field and make your background not as blurry or out of focus. And we like that look. So I'd encourage you to try to do one of the first two, grab an ND filter or just dim your key light a little bit. Now that we have correct exposure, we need to adjust our white balance. I would highly encourage you not to shoot in auto white balance because your white balance is going to shift depending on what scene you're shooting in. Usually it's best for YouTube talking head videos to set your white balance. So the best way you can do this is on the back of the screen. On the very right corner, there's a white balance feature. And we're going to scroll over, get out of auto white balance, and change that to this K, this custom temperature filter. The K stands for Kelvin, so we're changing the Kelvin temperature. And 5600 Kelvin is typical for a daylight colored light. So I'm currently using daylight temperature lights as my key light source, and some of these other lights in my studio are daylight color as well, which is typically 5600 Kelvin. So we're gonna set that to 5600 Kelvin in our case. A couple other Kelvin temperatures you should know about. 4500 Kelvin is good for more mixed lighting scenarios. So maybe you have a key light that's daylight color, but you also have some warm lights in your scene. It could be good to sort of split the difference and shoot at 4500 Kelvin. And then 3200 Kelvin is what you would use for warmer tungsten colored lights. So a lot of homes, interior homes that are older especially, have tungsten color bulbs. So you might need to use 3200 Kelvin in some cases. For our use case, we'll lock our white balance at 5600 Kelvin. Okay, now we got to make sure that you will be in focus no matter what happens. So dive back into the menu and go down to the purple menu, which is the focus menu. And the first menu there is AF. And we're going to set our focus mode to continuous focus so that no matter what happens in our scene, it's continuously trying to track focus. Now for our focus area, we're going to set it to wide so that it's just sensing the entire frame. If you wanted to get more specific, you could dial in a specific portion of the frame, but usually the best setting to keep it on would just be wide, and then it's going to track the entire frame to make sure that you're in focus. The third setting here is subject recognition, and we want to make sure that that setting, subject recognition in AF, is turned on so that it'll register when a subject is on the screen, and visually you'll be able to see that that person is in focus if you're recording them, or that yourself is in focus if you're recording yourself. And then for our recognition target, we want to make sure that that is set to human, but if you were recording animals or birds, you would select one of those animals. Now we need to make sure we're getting good audio, and we want our audio levels to be peaking between -12 and -6 decibels. So how we access this feature is click the function menu on the back of the camera, and you should be able to see the little audio record level is the second function there that you can click on, and it comes set really high to 26, and usually this is a little bit too high for most people, but you can scroll that down to just make sure that your audio levels are peaking somewhere, and just test this. So speak out loud or set the camera where it's supposed to be, and just make sure that your audio levels are peaking between -12 and -6 decibels. And this goes for whether or not you're using the internal microphone or you plug in an external microphone and use it that way. A little note here, it's always better to raise your audio levels a little bit in post-production rather rather than have your audio clip and now you're trying to fix distorted audio, which you really can't do. So always err on the side of a little bit lower than you would like, and then you can raise it a tiny bit in post-production. A quick word from our sponsor, StreamYard.
StreamYard is our go-to platform for streaming to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and other platforms easily. StreamYard gives you the power to produce your own show at a high level with a super easy to use interface that allows you to do transitions, add your own branding, and add text lower thirds. I personally love and use StreamYard to live stream my Coffee with Cannell show, to do interviews, to bring on special guests, and I love the local record feature that allows you to have peak quality when bringing on guests and capturing the video and the audio separately. So if you want to, you can take your final production to a whole nother level. As a podcaster or video creator, this is the ultimate tool. So if you want to create better content with more simplicity and less stress, grab your free trial of StreamYard today at streamwiththink.com. Now, let's jump back into the video.
Now, when it comes to vlogging, most of our settings are actually going to be the same, but there is one thing you might want to consider changing to make your life just a little bit easier. So remember at the beginning when we selected our shoot mode with the touchscreen on the top left menu, we changed that to manual exposure. So consider changing this back to intelligent auto. I love shooting in manual exposure. It gives me the most control over my image, but intelligent auto is really great for moving between different scenes when you're vlogging. So if you're in sort of a shaded area and then move to a more sunny area, you'd have to redial in all of your camera settings, and auto exposure allows you to just really seamlessly move between your different vlogging scenes. This allows you to just more easily focus on your storytelling when you're vlogging rather than trying to adjust settings from scene to scene. The other thing you want to think about is stabilization. This camera does not have in-body image stabilization, otherwise known as IBIS, but it does have software stabilization known as active stabilization. When you do turn on active stabilization, this does add a pretty big crop to your image, so you will need to compensate with that with a wider lens. Or you could throw it on something like a GorillaPod to extend your arm further out when you're vlogging. And that's what I actually tend to do when I'm vlogging. I turn on active stabilization, but use the GorillaPod to be able to extend that camera out a little bit further away from me. And finally, let's talk about slow motion settings and how to get the best and easiest slow motion out of this camera. That would be with what's called S&Q mode, or slow and quick. So this mode will slow down the footage for you in camera so you don't have to do that in post-production, which is really convenient. So all you gotta do is on top of the camera, there's that little S&Q switch. Switch the camera into S&Q mode, and then it'll pop up a menu and you're gonna navigate over to manual exposure because again, we need to set our camera settings for this. But before we set those settings, we need to go in and change our image quality. So into our shooting red menu again, the first menu down to S&Q settings, we need to select what frame rate and record settings we're gonna be recording in. So for this, I would highly recommend setting your record frame rate, so the left indicator right here, to 24p, and then the right one, the S&Q frame rate, to 60 frames per second. This is gonna give you 2.5 times slow motion, and it'll automatically do this in camera, which is really cool. And then back out of that menu and select your record setting, and we're gonna select again 100 megabits per second, 422 10-bit, so we get the best quality. So now we need to go adjust our shutter speed, and we're gonna set our shutter speed to 1/125, so 1/25 of a second. This is again because we always want our shutter speed to be double whatever our frame rate is. In this case, our frame rate is actually 60 frames per second, but it's gonna slow that footage down to 24 frames per second. So technically the camera is shooting in 60 frames, so we need to double that, which would be 120, but the closest setting we have is 1/125 on this camera, and that'll work just fine. A little note here is that S&Q mode has no audio recording, so it's just going to be the slow motion footage with no audio. So if you do need audio, you can record in the standard video mode, and then you'll have to increase your frame rate to 60 frames per second or 120 FPS in 1080p, and then kind of slow the footage down in post-production. So this is kind of the standard way of doing it in the past, but I think S&Q is a great way for most people if you want to just get up and running and get really cool slow motion footage and don't want to have to retime things in post-production software. S&Q is a great workaround for that. All right, so those are the best settings for YouTube talking head videos, vlogging, and slow motion with the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. If you do have any additional questions, feel free to drop those down in the comments below and we'll try to help you out. If you did get value out of this video, be sure to smash the like button. And if you'd like to see another video from us, be sure to click or tap the screen right here and you can check that out. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one.